Nigerian Civil Aviation Minister Hadi Sirika has said the country will reopen its airports for international flights from August the 29th, introducing protocols to minimize the risk of the coronavirus infection. At a briefing in Abuja, he said 4 flights would begin landing daily in Lagos and 4 in Abuja. Nigeria's airports have been shut down since March the 23rd to all but essential international flights, as part of the country's efforts to stem the spread of the coronavirus pandemic.
We are very glad today to announce that international flights will resume from the 29th of August 2020. It will start just like we did with the domestic. It will start with Lagos and Abuja. The protocols, procedures, and processes will be announced in due course. However, what we have become used to, physical distancing, wearing of masks, washing of hands, temperature taking, etc., will continue. So all protocols exist. They will continue alongside the opening of these airports. In the beginning, there will be 4 flights into Lagos and 4 flights into Abuja daily. We'll give further details on that in due course.
Joining me live to discuss this development is the Director General of the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, Captain Musa Shuaibu Nuhu. Captain, good afternoon. You're welcome, sir. Thank you for joining us on the show. So you were nominated by President Buhari in January. You were confirmed by the Senate in February. And then in March, the pandemic takes over and shuts down airports. What's that experience been like for you, sir?
Thank you very much for having me. It's been an incredible experience. Actually, my first meeting after I had a handover had to do with the coronavirus briefing before it even became declared a full pandemic. We saw it coming and we started making plans. So it's just been an amazing, almost all I've done since I resumed is related directly to coronavirus one way or another.
Thank you for that, sir. And we very much appreciate your efforts. And we've seen you in lots of meetings with the stakeholders, with the Minister of Aviation. How much of a role has the NCAA played in getting us to where we are today, to where we can now announce that, flights can start taking off, international flights, that is, from the 29th? I think you can even throw in the domestic flights as well, if you wish.
Thank you very much. NCAA, as a regulatory body, we had the responsibility to ensure that the entire industry, all the service providers, both public and private, complied with the guidelines we developed. And these guidelines we started developing on our own even before the International Committee, International Civil Aviation Organization, formed their Council Aviation Recovery Task Force to develop the global guidelines. Of course, we shared guidelines with the international organizations, including International Civil Aviation ICAO, the African Civil Aviation Commission, for their review and for their input. After that, we got a lot of guidelines which we ensure were implemented, starting all the way from the airport throughout the aviation ecosystem and all the way through as for the domestic flight, which we successfully started several weeks ago, and it's so far so good. It's been a pleasant experience, with the exception of a few hitches here and there, which the system has handled effectively. As regards to the international flight, it's a different basket because now you have several agencies that deal with international flights. You have agencies like the Immigration, Customs, the Both Health Services authorities, and now you're dealing with foreign airlines coming into your company. So it's a whole different game from the domestic flight, although there are significant experiences and lessons learned from the domestic flight, the issues of the non-pharmaceutical interventions, as the wearing of the face mask, the social distancing, the cleaning of hands, and simple common sense things to do to prevent that. We also apply to the international flights. However, international flights now, what you don't want people to flood in your country without checking them, bringing infection. We already have a significant community spread of this disease. So we don't want to have a large inflow without having some check to ensure that the people that come in will have some kind of guarantee the majority of them are not infected. That is one of the major difference between the domestic and the international flights. As you're aware, aviation has been has in some ways spread the coronavirus because people flying from country to country and carrying the disease. In fact, a lot of our disease initially was people returning from Europe that really made the situation worse in Nigeria.
Thank you very much for that, sir. Very, very in-depth answer there. When you were nominated, President Buhari made it a point to highlight not only your years of experience as a pilot, but also your aviation, the fact that you're an aviation safety expert. What's the number one priority going forward from this point for yourself? Is it safety first above everything else?
Obviously, without safety, there's no industry. Safety is paramount. That's number one. We'll have safety, we'll have security. But equally important is the economic development of the growth and development of the industry.
Fantastic. And thank you for mentioning the growth of the industry, because now the reason why I asked that is safety is a priority, but how do you balance safety with the livelihood of business? Because it's been about 4 or 5 months now. There, of course, have been layoffs, salary cuts across a number of airlines. And you're a regulator, so you're not, that's not really your thing. But I do want to ask you, though, about the balance between, because a lot of people you've had very thorough protocols that you put forward, very thorough protocols. But for some, it came at the expense of, delays in flights being resumed, which negatively affected the profitability of a number of airlines. So what's your answer to that? I mean, the balance between the two.
Okay, before I go, the issue of the economic impact on the aviation industry, it's global. It's not only in Nigeria, the layoffs, the salary cuts, even the big boys, the Lufthansa, the British Airways, the Etihads, the Emirates, all of them are affected, not only laying off, but granted significant fleet, number of aircrafts to economic recovery. So it's a global thing. And Nigeria is not an exception to this. On the issue of balance, yes, it's a fine act to find a fine balance between the financial health of the organization and also the health of the people. So it's something that we keep changing as we move forward. The regulatory body we're not health experts. It's not our area of expertise, but we significantly communicate and work together all the time with the health authorities, the Ministry of Health, the National Center for Disease Control, and especially the Public Health Services, who at the airports, international airports, checking the condition of the passengers coming into the country. So it's not an easy task, but we try to balance it, and things are not going to be easy till a vaccine is produced and significant amount of produced and significant number of people get vaccination. So the aviation industry, it's going to be a difficult period for the next 12 to 18 months, and hopefully we'll find a way through. Nobody expected this. Nobody has been trained for this. So the whole world, we are trying globally, trying to work with each other to see how we can get out of this very, very difficult situation the industry finds itself.
And again, we thank you for the efforts that you're putting forward, sir. And we also appreciate your honesty with the difficulties we're going to see ahead, 12 to 18 months. Well, one of which has been spoken of is the length of time it's going to take for people to get on flights because of the new checks that are going to be put in place, the testing before you board, and so on and so forth. Any worries as to how that might affect the flow of traffic of travelers with these new checks in place now for flights, for international flights especially?
Well, for those departing, different countries have different requirements. Someone want you to check a certain number of days before you go on the flight. So what the National Center for Disease Control does, they certify certain health centers that can conduct those checks, the COVID-19 checks, which is, they call it the PCR and the medical language. People could go to those areas and do their checks before they go to the airport. And so if it's a center certified by the NCDC, then these people, the passengers can go in and check and depart without much delay. When they get to the airport, of course, they're going to do the social distances, the wearing of the mask, the cleaning of the hands, they check your temperature, check you for other symptoms, if you have a cough, sneezing, sore throat, and things like that. So for departures, it's not going to be too terrible, not too much hassle. For the arrival, it's still being worked out, the process, but what is going to start now on the 29th, there's going to be, you'll be required to do a test between 48 and 72 hours before you arrive in Nigeria from wherever you are. Then also there's going to be an online platform where you go and fill all your information, and you pay for the test when you come to Nigeria. So when you come to Nigeria, you have your receipt that you paid online, you go through the normal process, then you're expected about 7 or 8 days after arrival to do another test in Nigeria to ensure that you don't have symptoms. According to the medical experts, of the passengers that have been coming to Nigeria that do the test, about 5% turn out positive when they still come. So we're still trying to catch that 5% by the second test within 7 or 8 days. But then if you had done your test 48 hours before you come here, then another 1 week, you should be showing the symptoms out of those 5%. So that's the reason why you have a second test to catch that 5%.
Thank you so much, sir. I think I've only got about 20 seconds left, but if you can, 30 seconds. What's your outlook for the rest of the year, sir? If you can, in 30 seconds.
It's very difficult. It's a very, very difficult thing to predict, but we hope things begin to pick up. The domestic flight started very slowly, and it's beginning to pick up. And we hope also the international flights will pick up with time, and we need to get going. Aviation plays a major role in business. So we hope things pick up and economic activities pick up. But it's going to be very, very difficult to really predict. But we keep changing, we keep adjusting, and we keep dealing with the situation as it arises.
All right. Again, sir, we really appreciate your efforts. Captain Musa Shuaibu Nuhu, the Director General of the NCAA, thank you so much for talking to us and giving us your insights and applying your expertise with this very tough times for the aviation sector.